Hello, everyone, and welcome to Not Too Late, the only late-night show that has the mumps. This week, we have Aaron and Amy here to talk about their short film, Cassie and Brandon Are Just Friends. But before we get to them, let's look at the headlines this week. First up, a man in South Carolina has been sentenced to 10 years in prison after he pleaded guilty to trying to hire a hitman to kill his neighbor. The man, Brandon Corey LaCroix, 26 years old, of Greenwood, was arrested last year after a confidential source tipped off the authorities that Mr. LaCroix had reached out to an unidentified white supremacist organization seeking help in the murder. An FBI agent posing as a hitman contacted Mr. LaCroix, who told the agent over the phone, $500 and he's a ghost. After giving the agent an initial payment of $100, he was taken into custody. So I have a few things to say about this story. First off, how much would it suck to have to pay $100 only to immediately get arrested? Also, how stupid do you have to be to think that you can hire a decent hitman for $500? And lastly, I'm not one to make fun of appearances, but this guy tried to hire a hitman to murder someone, so I'll make an exception. This guy looks like Ham from The Sandlot if he traded his freckles for meth. Justin Bieber is getting sued for hitting a paparazzi with his truck. He was leaving a church event, and Bieber did not see him while he was backing up. And if found guilty, Bieber could be faced with $1 million in damages. At the hearing, Justin is reported in saying, "Is it too late now to say sorry?" A catastrophic fire engulfed the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris on Monday, altering the city's skyline and threatening a potent symbol of Catholicism at the start of Holy Week. The fire burned for several hours, destroying the 850-year-old cathedral's iconic spire and roof before firefighters contained the blaze early Tuesday morning. The detectives on the scene said they're not sure who started the fire, but they have a hunch. Arby's recently had a promotional deal where they chose 10 people to go on a vacation to Hawaii for only $6, which included first-class round-trip flights. First-class round-trip flights, got it. Here I was thinking about a relaxing luxury vacation to Honolulu, but it's only for 24 hours, and that is including flight time. So you only get to spend 6 hours on the actual island. But that's not all. What's worse is that you actually have to eat Arby's to be in contention. Anti-vaxxers have been banned from raising money on GoFundMe in an attempt to stop the spread of conspiracy theories and misinformation. The crowdfunding platform announced it was carrying out a thorough review following reports that one campaigner had already gathered nearly $80,000 in donations, which begs the question, how are the anti-vax parents going to pay for their kids' medical bills? Especially with how expensive measles treatments are. I'm kidding. We all know that they're saving their money for abnormally small coffins. That's probably our fourth joke about anti-vax parents this season, proving that anti-vax jokes, much like unvaccinated children, never get old. Before we get to our guest today, we have yet another member of our crew coming to audition for co-host. Please join me in welcoming Ethan Hamilton to the stage. Good luck, Ethan.
Thank you, sir. Hello, how we doing? Good. I'm going to tell you all about the wonderful time I spent tonight in a New York City ER. You see, at the high school I went to, my choir was held on a very high pedestal. You know, we always placed in the state choir competitions. We always got the newest and coolest swag, and we always somehow got funding to take a plane trip halfway across the country to some awesome location and use singing as a cover-up for a mid-second semester vacay. Luckily for me and my ever-expanding teenage mind, I was in the school choir for all 4 years of high school, and during that time, we visited Chicago, Disney World, and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. But the trip I was most excited for was my sophomore year when I got the chance to visit New York City. You see, I'd been to Chicago before with my family, and I'd been to that godless place that's known as Pigeon Forge, Tennessee multiple times. I even visited Disney World when I was a young child. All of those trips were great, but taking a trip to New York City, now that was something else. You see, I'd never been to New York City, like I said. Hell, I hadn't really made a major trip without my family up to this point, I was just a A small-town boy from Bloomington, Indiana, who knew very little of the real world beyond my parents telling me that Little Five really is scary and that, that there are cornfields that surround all four sides of this town. So, as you can imagine, the idea of going to New York City with a whole group of people my age and relaxed chaperones, that was dope. I was excited. So, the night before my flight, my thought process was that perhaps, to hurry things up, I should stay up all night, refusing sleep, instead using the time on the plane to take a nap. That was my first mistake. See, I took advantage of this flawless plan, but before even landing at LaGuardia, I woke up with a terrible, searing pain in my forehead, right behind my eyes, you know. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced, and really anything I'd ever experienced still to this point. You know, it's like there were little prisoners trapped behind my eyes, and the only way out is if they pushed through my eyeballs. It was incredible, you know. It was the kind of pain that almost gets you high. So combining this loopy level of pain with the fact that I'd only had 7 hours of sleep in the last 48, New York felt like a fantasy world. Grand Central Station was like Narnia, you know. The subway was like a comedy show, and the comedy show I went to was kind of like a subway. We did all of these things the first day, but when night came, my headache hadn't left. And still, the pain was just so intense. I told my chaperone assigned to my group that it hadn't gone away. And she proceeded to call my mom. Now, this was the second mistake. Like a good majority of mothers, mine could win a gold medal at worrying. She told the chaperone, whose name was Kitty, that kind of thing really wasn't normal for me, and that if it had lasted this long, maybe something was truly wrong with me. So here I am, around 11:30 in the backseat of a taxi with my chaperone, Kitty, being driven to the nearest ER. I was terrified, and you know, by the time we got there, the clock had just struck midnight, and we were seated in the lobby waiting for someone to call my name. Now, I've been to an ER in Bloomington a few times, and let me tell you, the environment there is tranquil compared to the constant state of chaos I witnessed while hovering above the linoleum floors of that New York ER lobby. To my right were two men passed out, and to my left, a prostitute was fighting a man in a suit. My Midwestern mind had no idea what to do, and added to all that was the consistent pain, you know, that circled my head every other second. Finally, they called my name. So the first part of my doctor's visit, that was a breeze, you know. They asked me why I was visiting New York, what I had done that day, and they took my temperature. You know, normal doctor stuff. And all that happened in a hallway, and after they got my vitals and information, Kitty and I were ushered into a makeshift hospital room with curtains as walls. Though I was still in pain, I was more calm. You know, I was in a hospital. I had a caring parental figure, you know, who spent some time joking with me as we waited to hear the culprit behind the pain I was feeling. And well, that's when everything went wrong. Around 20 minutes after being taken to the hospital room, I was greeted by a large Jamaican nurse with a thermometer and a lot of attitude. Without even a greeting, she told Kitty to leave the room and uttered two words to me: "Bend over." I began laughing, thinking that what I heard was simply a symptom of the pain that I had been feeling that was slowly driving me crazy all day, and I asked if she could repeat what she'd just said. Once again, in a voice more stern than the last time, she commanded that I bend over, you know, to take my temperature. Now, at the age of 23, maybe, just maybe, I would feel a lot more confident in consenting to this. But at 15, I couldn't rack my brain around what she was asking me to do. I turned to the nurse explaining, "No, it's okay. The doctor already took my temperature out in the hallway. There must be some sort of mistake. You can go ahead on your way. There's no need." Her reply was that they needed a more accurate reading because guess what? They think I have spinal meningitis. So I turned to Kitty and saw her nearly out the door. My mouth had dropped and I began shouting her name, realizing there was surely no way out of this for me. So there I was, chaperoneless, stuck in a room comprised of curtains as walls and stuck between a bed and a Jamaican nurse with a thermometer. I took some deep breaths and I accepted my fate. I pulled down my pants, you know. I turned around. I only asked one thing, you know, of my new nurse friend, that she count to 3 so I could mentally prepare myself for what was to come. So she smiled back at me and realizing, she said okay, and she realized that I was terrified, as this 15-year-old guy. First night ever in New York in an ER. So I went back around feeling this connection, this solidarity that we had. And I stare right at the curtain wall. She says, 1, 2, pop. No 3. I quickly turned around, realizing that my new friend had deceived me, and forgetting all about the headache I had the previous 12 hours. Now, taking my temperature only took 5 seconds, but let me tell you, when you're a Midwestern boy in a New York ER, the first night you've ever visited at like 1 in the morning without a chaperone, 5 seconds can feel like an eternity. When she finished, she left and Kitty came back into the room. My trust was betrayed on all fronts. We sat in that curtain room and waited for the doctor to come in and tell us the results. Turns out it wasn't spinal meningitis. The doctor explained that because my body was so tired from the night before, the air pressure from 10,000 feet was trapped in my sinuses and just wasn't coming out. So they gave me a loopy pill, and I had an amazing next 4 days in New York City, more or less pain-free. I guess the moral of the story is always get a good night's sleep before a flight and maybe take a Claritin. Before we get to our guests, we have a package from our field team. Let's check it out.
Heads or tails, theological debate. I know a lot about that stuff, and I'm doing Not Too Late. Hi, I'm Drew with Not Too Late. Today we're asking what I think is a very simple question. Heads or tails? Let's see if IU students are smart enough to figure this one out. Alright guys, I've been out here for a little bit. I've been asking a lot of people. I haven't really gotten a right response on this yet. Simple question, right? Heads or tails?
Heads. Heads.
Heads. Heads. Heads.
Heads, obviously.
You stupid, ignorant son of a...
You disgust me. What rationale do you have behind your answer?
It's very simple. Heads is the go-ahead, and tails is a bum.
Because tails always fails.
Now, I've been going around, I've been asking what I think is a very simple question, and nobody's gotten it right so far. And so I'm just wondering, simple, heads or tails?
Tails?
Tails. Tails.
Tails.
I'm gonna go with tails.
Tails.
This is the last straw. Why do you think you're incorrect at this point?
Just thinking about like the penny, I like the Abraham Lincoln like little thing on the back. What is that even called? I don't know. In Washington D.C.
The Lincoln Monument.
I think not!
I thought that someone today would be able to do it.
I'm sorry to say. So it was heads?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I'm pumped. I want to get a right answer. I think we can get it out. Like this campus, how many people are on this campus? A lot? All right. We've been asking a simple question.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody has gotten it right so far. Heads or tails?
I prefer when it lands this way. I prefer when it lands this way.
Guys, I wasn't expecting this. I was not expecting this development. I came out here to have a good time, and now I'm questioning my morality.
Good.
Thank you?
You're welcome. Okay, I have to go to class now.
Cool.
Welcome back to Not Too Late. I'm here with Aaron and Amy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So filming is wrapped. How did the experience go? Or how did the filming go? How was it? Tell us about it.
Well, it was great. I mean, it was an incredibly long, stressful, crazy process, and definitely one of the most exciting experiences I've ever had in my life. First time directing anything of this scale, so definitely one for the books.
I had a great time. It was really good bond with the cast. It was not stressful for me.
I was in a bathtub at one point.
He was in a bathtub. Got to do what you got to do to get the shot.
Oh, yeah,
I was just in a bathtub. It didn't have to be in production.
Casual.
So did everything go as expected? I assume there were probably some hiccups, as happens on every shoot.
It never does. And that's what I love so much about film, is you have to be a creative problem solver. In fact, there was a week before shooting, I had a panic attack in my car, and I was crying, and I called my mom because the restaurant that we were going to shoot one of the scenes at just flat out told us, you can't shoot here anymore. Sorry. Don't go to Grazie's.
A call out.
But
Shots
then
fired.
within 1 hour, we switched locations. We found a new place to do it, and we just kind of rolled with the punches. So yeah, it was good. Yeah, good.
Awesome. Well, that's great. We actually have a preview that you sent in that we'd like to show the audience. So let's check that out.
Hello.
Hi.
How is he? Do you think he'd be able to answer a few questions?
No way, his lips are burned.
So what, he'll never be able to talk again?
Oh, he'll talk again, but you just have to give him a couple of weeks. Next time, guys, catch him in one piece.
Thanks, nurse.
Do you like what you see?
I love what I see.
Would you like to touch what you see?
Yes, I would.
Would you like to go out with me?
Yes, I would.
Would you like to me?
Bingo.
Well, then let's see what you've got. Doesn't interest me. Nothing there.
Nothing there? Just exactly what would interest you? Something the size of a jumbo jet?
All right.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you.
This was actually one of the hardest scenes to shoot.
Yeah, I made a lot of bold choices.
You were the nurse, right?
No, I was the guy who went.
Yes. The makeup was
forgot.
actually very
It was
difficult to do for that.
6
Movie
hours.
magic.
6
All right,
hours.
so I was unsure about seeing it, but after seeing that clip, I am inspired.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
That was
Seriously.
amazing. That was visionary.
Yeah.
The future of film.
Yeah.
Dare I say.
Yeah, no, yeah, you dare. I dare too. It was, yeah.
So where does that scene fit into the film as a whole?
That's a good question. I'm going to defer this one to Amy.
Yeah, it
'cause-
goes. It's there's kind of like an Anchorman style. It's like everyone is in a battle scene, and it's between the battle scene and the makeup sex scene.
This actually, yeah.
All right.
Right,
This
smack
is
dab.
actually a fever dream that Cassie has
Yeah.
after the first night that Cassie and Brandon sleep together.
That's so
And
cool.
She changes ethnicities.
All right, so were there any big mishaps on the set? Were there any crazy bad things that happened that you're allowed to talk about, obviously?
No, none that I'm allowed to talk about. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I'm like, it's fine.
I'm actually trying to think. There were a couple mishaps here and there. Like I said, just location-wise, it was very difficult to, because we didn't have the budget to pay locations. And so we were operating with a budget of $1,500 that we'd actually gotten as a grant from the Hutton's Honors College. But for a film, that's a very, very minimal budget. And so because we weren't actually paying the locations, they didn't really care as much about keeping their commitment to allowing us to shoot there. So I would say our locations changed probably 6 or 7 times before we shot. But once we actually got there, we had a stellar crew behind us. And cast as well. Everyone was very professional, and it was relatively smooth. There were only a couple of bumps along the way, but pretty good for a student production, I would say.
Awesome. All right, Aaron, plug your ears.
Oh gosh, why?
How is it working under Aaron? Be honest, he's not listening.
He's a tyrant.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
Awesome. This is a question that I think all of us in the audience have been thinking. Ethan and I had a nice long conversation about it.
Yes.
What sort of stance is the sequel going to take on microplastics? Because from what I've heard, it wasn't addressed in the first one, and I think, I get it.
It's an
I'm gonna go ahead
It's
and
an
get
issue.
a very pro.
Very
A
pro,
hard pro stance.
pro microplastics.
Absolutely.
Well, we spoke a lot. We commented a lot on macroplastics,
Yeah.
which I think are
Really
more,
gonna put-
generally
Definitely
visible.
You kind of
than
hone
large
in.
Plastic.
Yeah.
And then in the squeakquel, it's going to be kind of.
Yeah, we're actually we're teaming up with the crew of Alvin and the Chipmunks to make the second one. It's called Cassie and Brandon Are Kind of Friends.
Kind of friends.
We don't really know.
Actually,
It's gray area.
I'm getting word right now from the control room that the clip we showed was indeed not from your film.
What?
And that we have a real clip from your film to show. So let's roll that in really quick.
Morning, B. Crazy night last night, huh?
Yeah, Is Allison here?
I haven't seen her.
I was gone last night. I think I might have blacked out.
What?
Yeah, well, I guess that's what I get for mixing rum with tequila, you know? How was your night?
It was all right. Do you remember anything about last night?
No, not really. Why? What happened?
Nothing.
Cool. I should start getting ready. Allison's coming over tonight.
Oh, right.
Will you, be...
Oh, no, of course not. I'll get out of your hair.
Thanks, just we haven't seen each other in like a week, so you'll probably want to...
I get it. Thanks. That actually works out perfectly. Because I have a date too.
Wait, really? With who?
A guy from work.
Yes, that's great. Why didn't you tell me?
We just started talking.
Well, I gotta meet the guy. The four of us should go on a double date. You know, you, me, Allison, and,
Justin. Yeah, maybe.
Great.
Sometime.
Cool. I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right, so first off, I want to say that is actually the first that I've seen of that, and that already looked really interesting. Obviously, a very cool setup, a very cool scenario. How did this idea come to you originally?
Clippers.
Clippers? Yeah.
Clippers.
Yeah, there you go.
Like the basketball team?
Cool. No. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, sure. It actually started as a it actually started as an idea for a feature film that I had in high school, and I hadn't actually. I tried to write it, but I've never written a feature film script before.
I could see how that would be difficult.
So I revisited it.
Continue.
Yeah, don't let him bother you.
I needed to do this earlier.
You're right. So I revisited it, and I just thought it would be a good idea for a short film.
Yeah.
And it was actually, it had a much darker ending, actually. Originally, Cassie ended up killing herself, but we decided to go.
I'm so sorry, that's not funny. That's not funny, but whatever.
It's not, yeah, it was just,
So what was your experience like? I assume you've acted in things before,
Yeah.
obviously. Did you enjoy playing the character? Did you enjoy the writing? What did you think about this, filming it overall?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a very easy experience. Cassie's a very dynamic character that I could relate to a lot. It was a lot of me just making out with Josh Carter. That was a challenge.
How was he to work with?
A gift, truly a gift. We have nice chemistry.
You got a lot of hair.
I know, right?
Jeez.
I told you I needed to do this.
You really did. All right, well, when can people see Cassie and Brandon? Do you know when it's coming out? Do you have information on that yet?
Yeah, I do. It's coming out soon, actually, next weekend.
Awesome.
Now, we've kind of hit a couple bumps in the road in terms of finding a venue, but we will be premiering it at a theater at either the Media School Commons or at the Buzzkirk Chumley, depending on.
All right, awesome. So if you want to see that, which I will be at the premiere, so if you want to see me there, you should be there. But before we get to our second interview with a few members of the crew who are going to be graduating, sadly, we have another field segment. We'll be right back.
It's recording. Hello? Oh, yes. Okay. Hey, guys. It's Shannon. Professional detective / ghost hunter / good person. I'm gonna do something a little bit different this week. Since it is Shannon Answers, I thought it would be good for me to take some time and answer some questions sent in by you guys, my fans. So let's get right into it. From Darknet032. Hello, I would like to kill you. What do you think about that? Let me know, thanks. Okay, so super polite, and it was a question, so I'm not mad. I don't really know what it means, but you guys are like super quirky, and I love it. What do I think about that? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Darknet032, but thanks for your submission. Your name, Mom and Dad. No relation, I'm assuming. Mom and Dad says, your videos always make me laugh. They're kind of weird and they don't always make sense, but you go, girl. Okay, so, wasn't really a question, but thanks, I guess. Great. So, moving on. Question from, another one from Darknet032. It says, I have a shrine of you in my basement. Wow. The only thing missing is your bones. Please do a meet and greet. Don't really understand, but it sounds like a date to me. And then if you guys if I didn't mention it, I don't know if I mentioned it in this video or the last one, but I am single, so that would be okay. I might have to go meet this fella.
Hey y'all, so it's about 4 o'clock and I couldn't sleep because I just could not stop thinking about Darknet032. So I just decided that I was gonna go pay him a little surprise visit. Yeah, so we talked a little bit and he was all like, I want to make a mask out of your skin and super sweet things like that. So I was like, I gotta meet this person. So technically this is my first meet and greet, if you want to call it that. So super duper excited for that. Yeah, it's like a 45-minute walk. So I'll check back in. It's kind of creepy because it's the middle of the night, but there have only been tens of assaults on campus. So yeah, we talked a little bit, and they were like, oh, when you get here, I'm gonna keep you in my basement forever. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but what it sounds like is that I won't have to pay rent anymore, so I'm on the way. Okay, so I just made it. I'll check back in with you guys later.
Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man, the voyage to the corner of the globe is a real trip. Ocean man, princess of the tan man imbibed by the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man, can you see through the wonder of amazement at the Oberman? Ocean man, this is elusive when it casts forth to the childlike man. Ocean man, the secrets of a life embraced in the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man. Ocean man.
1,000% my
That is not a million% sure. But is it a joke? This is IU. It's nothing.
No,
Nothing's
that's
a joke.
my spin.
We'll just move. Let's move on to the next.
Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man.
First, want to say rest in peace, Shannon. Thank you for all the amazing content you brought us in these past 2 semesters you've been with us. Welcome back to the show. I'm joined by Bryce and Sydney, 2 day 1 producers of Not Too Late, who sadly are going to be graduating this year. Aw. Yeah, you got to move on eventually. So tell me, what did both of you do for the show? We'll start with Sydney.
Well, we meet weekly. We just talk about what's going to happen this show. We'll get together, plan out the show, plan out guests for that week and for future weeks. And then you're also
and I'm part of. We're both part of that process. And I guess one of my main responsibilities is making sure everything is here so you can have a show. So I guess at the beginning of the season, it's like booking the studio time, things like that, making sure the crew can be there at the right time, and then every once in a while, I'll co-host. So.
That did happen.
Got over those nerves, thankfully.
What was your favorite moment from, it doesn't have to be on the show itself, but just being a part of the show, working with the show? Any that stand out, or was it all just bleh?
I definitely think overall it's just been a great experience. I definitely enjoyed being here since day one. And then I wasn't here last semester. I was in LA last semester, so I missed being
LA girl now, right? Cool.
So I missed.
Kelly
I
Down?
missed. So I definitely missed being here last semester. It's been great to be back here and then sign off with the show as well, I guess.
Yeah, a single moment is hard to pinpoint, but I think overall, just my favorite thing about doing this is like having an excuse to like see everybody every week, which is kind of
just the
cheesy.
people.
But I like the people. That's the best part about it, and just hanging out with everybody.
What are you gonna miss most about the show? And you don't have to say me. I get it. That's like, we can keep that up here. What's next?
It's obvious.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Probably exactly what I just said.
Probably
but
exactly
that's
what you
just missing the crew and.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just like, it's cool getting to do this.
Well,
I'm glad you were here.
Both of you mean a lot to me. So I opened up iMovie for the first time in about 12 years.
Wow.
And I put together a cool little video that's I think it's gonna be a great send-off, and it'll be what you are remembered by.
Sweet.
Awesome.
I'm so excited to see this.
Let's check that out.
Yeah.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
My mama was raised in the era when clean water was only served to the fairer skin.
I made that one all by myself, if you can believe it. After about 5 hours of tutorials on Premiere Pro and about 35 hours of trying to open it, I finally paid somebody to make that for me. And I think it went great.
Money well spent.
Thank you.
Money well spent, definitely.
Do you have any regrets or things that you wish we could have done on the show?
I mean.
You don't.
No, we're good.
We don't.
We're good.
That's
Nothing?
the answer to that question.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
we're not going to talk about that.
I want to give both of you the most sincere of thank yous. Bryce, for those of you who don't know, Bryce was one of the people who was the reason the show got picked up. He was the person I pitched the show to, right?
What are you talking about?
Was that not
He's
you?
making that up.
I
was not part of that process at all.
But I just want to thank all of you for coming out, especially. This has been, I think every season's getting better personally. This is our season 3 finale.
Yeah, I mean, since I picked the show up, definitely, I think that, like, my oversight has really like gotten it to where it is today. Yeah.
It's really improved. But thank all of you very much for coming again. Don't forget to check out the premiere of Cassie and Brandon Are Just Friends. And tune in next season where Jesse Eisenberg and I will learn proper wiping etiquette. And don't forget, it's not too late to visit the bell tower at Notre Dame University. Not the other one. Thank you for coming out. Ethan, that was a great show. I think it went really well. You did really well.
Well, thanks, Tucker. You know, of course I did well, you know? I'm excellent. I'm superb.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
You know what? I'm actually a little upset. There was a package I wanted to roll. We didn't have the time. Can you go ahead and roll that?
Yeah. That was a weird bit, Ethan. What was that?
Wasn't a bit, Tucker. You stole a boom pole from the IUSTV office.
No, I didn't. That was a guy with a mask on.
You stole a boom pole from the IUSTV office.
Why are you doing this, Ethan?
Why? I don't think you should worry about the why, Tucker. Call the police. They're already on their way.
They're on their way.
Should be here any minute.
Ethan, you're not going to get away with this.
I already have gotten away with this. It's not too late, never too late, for a hostile takeover.
Thank you for watching another great episode of Not Too Late. If you want to see a past episode, click right here. If you want to subscribe, click here. If you want to check out our Twitter, click here. If you'd like to illegally download Transformers 2 Dark of the Moon, that's right here. If you'd like to see if you could save money by switching to Geico, that'll be below the video. If you want to invest in Bitcoin for any reason, click right above my head.